This is Radio Taiwan International.
Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Eloise Phillips, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Wednesday, March 4th. Taiwan's CPI could exceed inflation threshold as fuel and electricity prices rise. Digital Ministry seeks systemic reforms in wake of Kupang data leak. And President Lai opens the 2026 Taiwan Lantern Festival and celebrates global recognition. But first, today's top story. The escalating U.S. Israel-Iran conflict has strongly impacted international oil markets as tensions mount in the Strait of Hormuz and Iran announces the waterway's closure. Brent crude oil prices surged to $80 per barrel this Wednesday, with energy prices rising across the board. Academics warn that Taiwan's Consumer Price Index, or CPI, for March could exceed the 2% inflation alert threshold. Chair Professor of Management at National Central University, Liang Qiyuan, said in an interview on Wednesday that while Taiwan's officially reported annual growth rate for January was 0.69%, this figure was dampened by a high base effect from the Lunar New Year period. As of February, the rate could already exceed 2%, and the likelihood of it continuing to go up in March is high, he said. Per Liang's analysis, the crisis has not only pushed up oil prices, but is also disrupting natural gas supply. Natural gas-fired generation accounts for nearly half of Taiwan's power generation structure, and the island's strategic gas reserves are enough for only about 11 days. Regarding prices, Liang noted that according to Japan and South Korea's Platts EVA Natural Gas Price Index, gas prices have risen more than 20% since the beginning of February. International oil prices have seen a comparable increase. He said this will be directly reflected in tariff adjustments and through businesses passing higher energy costs to consumers via more expensive goods and services. He said,
"Oil prices have already risen more than 20% so far. The increase in electricity and fuel prices will both impact consumer prices, definitely exceeding 0.4 percentage points."
The Economic Ministry has proposed fully activating coal-fired generation in a worst-case scenario. Liang believes coal can partially replace gas and alleviate pressure from electricity price increases, though coal prices may rise as well. In addition, the increased use of coal would undermine Taiwan's carbon reduction commitments. In view of all of these factors, he said he believes the government should carefully reconsider its policy of phasing out nuclear energy. In response to a permissions management failure at the e-commerce platform Kupang, the Digital Ministry said that rather than focusing on penalties, they are prioritizing improvements to data governance from the ground up by urging companies to strengthen data protection measures. Despite the company's claim that its Taiwanese and South Korean databases operate independently, the Kupang data breach put the personal data of more than 200,000 Taiwanese users at risk. Information such as usernames, email addresses, phone numbers, and delivery addresses were accessed without authorization. Digital Minister Lin Yijing said the ministry is looking to help businesses improve their cybersecurity capabilities and governance mechanisms. He said the government conducts regular inspections of e-commerce companies annually, covering not just technical measures, but also internal personnel management. Asked whether there should be a requirement for e-commerce databases to be stored on servers located in Taiwan, the minister noted that under the WTO framework, data localization requirements are not encouraged. However, countries retain room for policy adjustments based on cybersecurity and national security considerations, and the United States has recently begun requiring certain companies to store data domestically. In response to shifting international trends, Taiwan will make adjustments accordingly, he said. The ministry's main priorities this year are to combat fraud, develop the digital industry, strengthen cybersecurity resilience, and build a digital government. They are also deploying policy tools toward AI development and working alongside the Financial Supervisory Commission to ease investment restrictions on insurers and offer tax incentives to attract private sector investment. Kupang is a major South Korean e-commerce company and one of Asia's largest online retail platforms, offering fast delivery, groceries, fashion, electronics, and other services. It has expanded beyond South Korea into markets including Taiwan, where it was launched in July 2021. President Lai Ching-te and Jiayi County Magistrate Wen Zhangliang officially opened the 2026 Taiwan Lantern Festival on Tuesday night, marking the start of a month-long celebration of light, creativity, and cultural pride. Lai said the event has, for more than 30 years, developed a distinctly Taiwanese character and earned widespread international recognition. The opening ceremony was held on the Lantern Festival Day and was presided over by President Lai, Transportation Minister Chen Shikai, and Wang. The festival's theme, Illuminating Taiwan, Lighting Up Chiayi, highlights the southern county's growing cultural significance. Wang expressed gratitude for the clear weather and presidential support, saying, quote, "We hope the light of Taiwan in the world can shine on Chiayi," end quote. Wang also introduced the Chiayi Dream, a zone symbolizing aspirations for local growth. Quote, "We have a dream," end quote, he said, envisioning Chiayi as a place where young people can return for fulfilling careers, where confidence and vitality thrive, and where the county belongs not only to Taiwan, but also to the world. President Lai praised the teamwork behind this year's event, calling it a product of a full year's creative effort. He said,
"The Taiwan Lantern Festival, now in its 37th year, has developed its own character and won international acclaim. According to the Discovery Channel, it is one of the world's most representative events, even described by global travel magazines as a Disneyland without roller coasters."
The Foreign Ministry said the US remains firmly committed to supporting Taiwan's equal and dignified participation in the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, or APEC, following a visit by US APEC senior official Casey Mace, who previously served as senior advisor for Southeast Asia at the National Security Council during President Trump's first term, among other postings in Indonesia, Australia, and China. APEC is the region's premier economic and trade forum and will be hosted by China this year. Mace visited Taiwan on Monday and Tuesday, meeting with senior government officials and industry leaders to discuss APEC-related issues and regional economic cooperation, the ministry said. The American Institute in Taiwan, or AIT, announced on Monday that Mace would hold talks in Taiwan, and in an evening statement on Tuesday, the Foreign Ministry outlined Mace's meeting with Deputy Minister Bao Shan-ge, noting that he reiterated Washington's support for Taiwan's participation in international arenas and pledged to strengthen exchanges through APEC. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Xiao Guangwei said Mace, quote, reaffirmed the US government's firm stance supporting Taiwan's equal and dignified participation in APEC, end quote, and praised Taiwan's long-standing contributions to regional economic growth and cooperation. The two sides agreed to deepen collaboration within APEC and strengthen the US economic partnership as they confront global challenges. Taiwan has participated in APEC for 35 years, taking part on an equal footing with other members, a principle that all APEC members agreed to uphold in joint ministers' statements in 2024 and 2025, the ministry noted. It added that Taiwan is a constructive full member and that last December, senior APEC official Sun Jianyuan, director of the ministry's Department of International Organizations, signed a memorandum with the APEC Secretariat in Shenzhen, donating $650,000 to the Human Security Subfund, the Women and the Economy Subfund, and the Policy Support Unit. Amid escalating Middle East conflict and expanding regional tensions, the legislature's Foreign Affairs and National Defense Committee member Chen Quanting told Reuters in a recent interview that further escalation could disrupt US military deployments, forcing assets intended for Asia to disperse and weakening deterrence and security stability in the Indo-Pacific. Chen expressed hope that the Middle East situation remains, quote, limited, controllable and free from spillover, end quote, preventing the drawdown of US security resources in Asia that could upset the strategic balance and regional order. He stressed that Indo-Pacific security should not be forced to, quote, divert attention, end quote, due to other theatres of war, and should avoid creating exploitable strategic vacuums from any regional conflict. In a volatile external environment, Chen said, Taiwan must strengthen its own preparedness, particularly by preemptively expanding ammunition reserves and boosting domestic manufacturing to enhance sustained combat endurance and resilience, ensuring sufficient defence capacity across scenarios. He emphasized that elevating autonomous defense is essential to reducing miscalculations and securing peace. Chen noted that peace in the Taiwan Strait underpins the entire Indo-Pacific security framework and global supply chain stability, urging the international community to stay focused to prevent over-dispersion of strategic resources that could benefit authoritarian forces. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Eloise Phillips. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.